These educational AMAs are brought to you by XD.com. My name is William, head of XD Academy, and as usual, your AMA host. A bit about X.com. We were founded in 2018 and have serving more than 7.8 million users. And we currently have about 1 million monthly active users and about 40 million users in the whole ecosystems. As of right now, we have about 800 tokens available on our platform, and that actually includes 1,000 trading pairs right now. So if you haven't signed up, definitely come check it out. As of right now, the exchange does stand as one of the world's first social infused exchange due to its innovative integration of social elements in the cryptocurrency trading experience. Unlike traditional exchanges that solely focus on just transactions, we at X.com we try our best to incorporate social features that enable users to engage with each other and forming a vibrant community within the platform. I will be having an Q&A section at the very end of this AMA, so if you definitely pay attention. If you guys have any questions, feel free to write it down. You guys get to ask me at the end of this AMA, and just so this way you guys can actually stay on top of the whole Web3 industry and learn this yourself. A little bit about XE news before we jump into today's topic. We have XT Earn, and this has been providing some really interesting Bitcoin VIP products on our platform. We do have a yield fluctuation range between 7 to 18%, which is pretty crazy for Bitcoin. If you compare this to like any DeFi platforms, you probably don't see anything that maxes up to like 18% yield APY for your Bitcoin. So if you have a bunch of Bitcoin and you want to stash it somewhere because, hey, you want to wait for the market to pick up, you might want to consider looking into our XT Earn options here, because 7 to 18% is a pretty high yield for your Bitcoin. That being said, our XT Earn department really has launched a new commission policy for this exclusive option here. So if you guys are interested in introducing your friends or families to subscribe for this option, definitely you guys can provide your user ID to one of our business development staff, and you get about 10% commission of ROI every month. This is definitely a very interesting option if you're interested in actually earning some extra passive income. Some people, take this pretty far to the point where they earn a few thousands or weekly, if not daily. It's pretty absurd how, but the options are there. Definitely there's big money to be made if you guys are definitely interested in getting into this early. All right, so that said, today we're going to jump and dive into today's topic, which is we really want to talk about stable coins and how important its mainstream adoption is because it has so many significant impacts. And as of right now, I believe this is like the biggest part where we need to take care of, regardless what country you're in, whether you're based in Europe, East Asia, North America, Africa, wherever. The stable coin is the bloodline of the Web3 industry, the ecosystem, and the more the proper adoption we have of this, the better. Than anything you hold right now, everything will literally just go up and stay up. So everyone benefits with more stable coin adoption, but I really want to dive deep into this so you guys have a better understanding how significantly important stablecoins are to not just a very specific country or a very specific sub-industry in the Web3 industry, but actually it impacts everyone's lives, even yours, even if you're friends who are not into blockchain or cryptocurrencies or any of this such. All right, so before we do jump into the significance of it, I do want to quickly talk about the different kinds of stable coins out there. And for those who may not be familiar, what on earth are stable coins? I just want to clarify this so that we're all on the same page, right? So for people who might have gotten into this like a few months ago, you guys are probably pretty familiar with stable coins, which basically are, as you know, probably are experienced and know it, they're digital money pegged to the US dollar. But guys, you have to understand, stable coins, they're not necessarily have to be pegged to the US dollar. They can also be pegged to a whole bunch of other stuff. Doesn't even have to be fiat currency. We've seen stable coins pegged stably to commodities like gold. So we have like one stable coin called Tether Gold. Its ticker is XAUT. So that's a stable coin too, but it's stable to the price of gold, right? I believe that's like £1 or something. And there's like another one like PaxG. You guys probably heard of that too. That's from a big company. That's the price of that one token is pegged to the gold, £1 of gold, right? So it doesn't have to be US dollars, doesn't even have to be fiat currency, doesn't have to be the euros or Korean won for that matter. It could literally be like, I don't know, a 1 kilogram of oil or maybe £1 of silver. I have no doubt sooner or later we're going to see like some kind of stable coin pegged to like a pound of silver. I would love to see that. We've yet to see that yet, but I'm sure that since we have one for gold, we're probably gonna see one for silver sooner or later once like regulations really take off for stable coins. I have no doubt we're probably gonna see stable coins for platinum, because for those who may not be aware or familiar with valuable commodities like gold or precious metals, platinum's actually worth a lot more than gold. So, but as of right now, every country, the older generations are so used to buying gold as a store of value because that was what was available. Like we didn't really have the technology to, or like the amount of resource to really use platinum as a store of value. However, that is optional. It's just it's a lot more expensive, and the usage for platinum is a little bit not as wide as gold, right? But if you want to talk about usage, I mean, I guess you can actually apply that to silver. So for those who definitely got into like this whole like crypto stuff just last few months, you probably understand, yes, stable coins are digital US dollars, but remember, they don't have to be fiat currencies. They can also be, of course, gold, a barrel of oil, or sooner or later, we're probably going to see something like 1 hour of electricity at this, like, I don't know, 30 volts and 5 amps or something like that, right? We're going to see like a lot more like stable coins pegged to a very specific amount of commodity. And I think this is going to be really interesting, the stable coins. Of course, there's many other various types too. So for those who may not be aware, you probably understand that stable coins are mostly fiat collateralized, because I'm assuming you guys are pretty familiar with USDT and USDC. These two specific stable coins are fiat collateralized types, which basically means that if you own like $10 worth of USDT or USDC, there's somewhere in North America or somewhere where you Tether, the company behind USDT, has $10 worth of the actual US dollars in some bank. At least we hope it's actually there. That's fiat collateralized. Of course, there's also two other types. If you're into decentralized finance, you might be familiar. There's also crypto collateralized stable coins. Basically, it means that these stable coins are backed by other cryptocurrencies. Now, we've seen a lot of them backed by Ethereum, Bitcoin, but as of right now, we tend to see a lot of like, certain crypto collateralized stable coins that are backed by multiple different cryptocurrencies, not just one specific one. I think a really good example of this is probably a good time to mention is, but the new stablecoin that just came out just not too long ago, just like a few weeks ago, it's called the Athena USDE. This one is specifically backed by short leveraged Ethereum. So it's backed by Ethereum, but it's shorting Ethereum. So say like if for some reason the USDE stablecoin deployed by Athena, it goes down, it gets depegged. Well, basically, it just liquidates the actual Ethereum to actually prop that back up. So I think that's really interesting too. And of course, the last but not least, we have algorithmic type of stablecoin. For those who are definitely into DeFi and want to stay off like centralized fiat collateralized stablecoins, because those are backed by companies, right? So you have to kind of have a certain level of trust within the company behind it. You can get into algorithmic stablecoins too. Like they're not better, they're not worse. They rely on, of course, a very specific algorithm, as the name implies. And of course, they tend to, for very specific ones, for better for worse, they have an interesting, I guess you can say like a lack of a better word, a wider volatility, and they tend to be a little bit more volatile. You tend to see them going above $1, less than $1, if we're talking about like algorithmic US dollar, excuse me, USD pegged stable coins, right? But I like to understand these three specific types of stable coins in terms of their issues and their potential problems, or I guess you can say their unique vulnerability. So if you kind of understand the difference between their vulnerabilities, the concerns behind these specific three types of stablecoins, you have a much more better understanding which stablecoin is better for what kind of purpose. Now, I wouldn't say, oh, the fiat collateralized one's the best because it's actually backed by a proper company, but that's not true. Like, it really comes down to what you need these stable coins for. So like if you're a big company and you need to do business, and due to, as of right now, we were lacking still a lot of regulation, although it's just around the corner, probably the next few weeks. Well, at least that's what I hope. You'll probably want to be working with USDT or USDC, depending on which part of the world you are at, or which part of the world your company resides in, because they actually have companies backing it. And if something goes wrong, you can hate for to say this, but you can sue them. So like if you're a company and you need to do business using digital stable coins, then I think fiat collateralized one would probably be a much more safer, less risk stable coin for you to work with. Now, let's just say if you are, I don't know, let's just say you're a few of these companies, right? And you want to use something that's less centralized because centralization is bad, and you're running like a DeFi protocol and you want to stay completely on the Web3 ecosystem and give people 100% immunity from companies or the banks that back them, that back these companies, right? So if it's not the company that's failing, but it might be the banks. It's like USDT and why it pegged last year, right? It's because the bank that they were using was Silicon Valley. It failed Circle, right? So it wasn't Circle that issue; it was the bank behind them, and that's why it depegged for a little while. So if you're concerned about that, you can use crypto collateralized stable coins. That's great, but you have to understand they also have their unique vulnerability as well, because you have to trust the underlying protocol. Of course, you have to also trust the digital asset price is going to be properly collateralized. So, like a case in point would probably be the new Athena USDE that became available a few weeks ago, right? You really need to trust that the Athena protocol is actually going to make sure that if the USDE gets depegged, it's going to properly liquidate the Ethereum that they hold. Now, if it does depeg, right, and the Ethereum doesn't get liquidated, and for whatever reasons they couldn't actually liquidate on DeFi protocol, they couldn't move it properly to liquidate in time, or the whole mechanism wasn't working. Like anything can go wrong. Not sure if it will, but it definitely could, right? But you need to place trust and underlying protocol. So there is vulnerability even with crypto collateralized ones. Of course, last but not least, I probably would just slightly mention that the vulnerability being algorithmic stablecoins is that they they can be quite volatile. If anyone's not familiar with algorithmic stablecoins, definitely go check out. One of my favorite examples is Ampleforth. I love the program. I really enjoy reading their white paper because it's so unique. But I'll tell you something: when you actually see the amount of Ample tokens, which are technically should be balanced or pegged to the $1, it sometimes you see it going up higher than $1, sometimes a lot lower. But the thing is, Apple is really interesting out stablecoins because the amount of the tokens in your wallet changes. Sometimes you have more, sometimes you have less. It's really unique, but that's not. I don't think like someone getting into like DeFi or something, someone just started getting into like, buying cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum would actually understand how that works. Like you don't just wake up one day and look at your wallet. It's like, oh, where's my money? It just became less. Like the amount actually became less. Like that would freak out anyone out, right? So that's why it's just not like naturally intuitive to really understand how algorithmic stablecoins work. So, but yes, all three of these types of stablecoins, they all have their own unique vulnerability. I would not say one's better than the other. I think that's just being naive. It really comes down to what you are using it for or for what purpose, right? Whether if it's business or whether you fear you want to stay on decentralized finance, you want to be able to do everything's online, and you don't want to be blacklisted by Tether Circle because they're thinking you're a hacker or whatnot, or you really want to like deal with the whole volatility issue with algorithmic stablecoins, right? Like because algorithms can fail, right? So that is just my quick spiel on the types of stablecoins. Hope you have a better understanding. Did you keep in mind that regulations for stablecoins, it is increasing, and that's a really good thing. And we are waiting for a lot more solid regulations. I'm sure not just one bill, but we'll probably have to see like a whole bunch of bills for the next conceivable decade that's going to surround stablecoins, because we only have a lot. We have a lot of stablecoins, especially the fiat collateralized ones, namely the USDT and USDC. But it's just not enough. That's just one specific fiat currency. Can't wait to see stuff like more euros or even like JPY in Japan and stuff like that. That would really pull in a lot of liquidity and to really help every single market in the Web3 industry grow in size. It's just going to be huge potential systemic impact. So I'm really looking forward to all these regulations come in, because once we do, you'll actually have a lot more safer. You won't have to worry about depegging, like how USDC depegged last year. I think that really caught a lot of people off guard. But do keep in mind, one whole like bank literally collapsed, right? So you don't really see that very often. But that being said, these new regulations that'll not only make sure that these stable coins are a lot more solid, I guess you could say, durable, but of course they should depeg a lot less, or the risk of depegging would be a lot lower than what we've experienced in the last few years. All right. So, if you guys definitely haven't checked it out, we have a whole bunch of other stablecoin. We have DAI. That's really interesting. Deployed by MakerDAO. We have a few other interesting ones, but you know what? I'll jump in each one as we go. With that being said, I do want to jump into our next section. That's about regulatory clarity, and this is so big. As of right now, we do see a lot of regulatory clarity getting hashed out in the United States. This is great. I really like stablecoin legislation, and they're just trying to hammer this down. And I think this will really increase and really bring us a lot of potential impact and bring us a lot more, of course, market stability. And then when we actually have a lot more stability in the market, you're going to see a lot more wealth going to be on board in the whole Web3 ecosystem. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, so how is this guy related to me? Well, if you have bought anything, if you have any positions in any cryptocurrencies, you have to understand that when stable coins are actually good to go for, like even like businesses, right? That brings in so much market capital. When you actually increase the total market capitalization of the whole Web3 industry, every single one of your crypto position is going to pump, and it's going to stay up, right? Now, again, pumping, and like that's something we see in every single like bull market. But what I'm talking about, we actually have stablecoin regulatory clarity. You're going to see a pump, and we're going to see it staying up. Like the next dip is going, and the next bear market's going to be a lot less bearish. Like the bottom is going to be a lot higher than we normally would conceive, or what we've experienced in the last bear markets, because of these new regulatory clarity. When we actually have all these more people actually putting up their fiat currencies or their assets into digital form, right? So you can kind of see this in a way, it's tokenizing the real money into digital form, right? And as that more and more of that happens, the more like assets are going to exist in the Web3 ecosystem. And we see that, we're just going to see a lot more higher total market capitalization. Every single one of you guys are going to benefit. All right. So as of right now, the United States legislation, just a little bit about them, they are trying to hash and establish regulations for stablecoins. We see it happening right now. They're trying to provide very specific guardrails to ensure that a lot of the issues that existed in the last few years, especially since 2020, oh gosh, all the stablecoin depegging that we've experienced has just been hellish. Don't even mention the DAI depegging, like back in like was it 5 years ago. That was horrible. But that was like Chainlink's fault, I believe. There's some issue with the oracle they were using. But anyways, that being said, we do see a lot of lawmakers, the U.S. lawmakers, like what was it? Patrick McHenry, we've got Senator Cynthia Lumens. They're really actively pushing for stable legislation. I'm really hoping that really goes through in the next few weeks, but I think it's just a matter of time. I do see that the U.S. legislation is seeking to really get their framework down, and because the moment they address all these issues regarding a lot of like oversight issues, safety issues, the banking issues that are actually backing these stable coins like Silicon Valley Bank, you are going to have a lot more stable foundation for the whole Web3 industry to grow. Now, of course, if these legislations for these regulatory frameworks for stablecoins actually pass, and I have no doubt it's going to sooner or later pass, even if it doesn't pass in the short term. Things take a little bit of time, right? They're most likely, in my personal opinion, they're going to unlock so much, like non-depository institutions to really issue possibly their own stable coins. So we're going to see a lot of these banks, big and small, they have their own US dollar pegged stable coins for their own purposes. Now, some of these stable coins, they might not be available to retail traders, investors like us, but they'll be used between banks, right? So as of right now, we do see the two groups of government, the bipartisan groups in the United States, they are working, and I'm just glad that they are on the same page. So no doubt that USA is going to lead the charge in this respect. Though do keep in mind, though, we do see a lot of regulation work going on in Europe as well, in East Asia as well, for that matter. I guess I'll just mention a little bit about Japan, since I'm actually situated here, so I'm actually quite familiar with what's going on this end. But for those who might be familiar with what's going on in East Asia, we have Sony. Yes, Sony actually has a subsidiary. They have their own bank. So you might be thinking, what? That's insane, right? The guys behind like PlayStation 5 and all those Spider-Man movies and whatnot. They have their own bank. It's called Sony Bank. And guess what, guys? They're experimenting with stablecoins. I believe they're using Polygon network right now. Not too sure if that's actually going to affect Polygon or in any positive way, but they're testing their stablecoin on the Polygon network. And for all you have to understand, Sony, they're so rich. They can literally just test it on Polygon and, deploy their own blockchain and use their Sony bank to deploy their own stable coins on their own chain, right? But we'll see what they do, right? It'll be interesting if they do deploy their stable coin on the Polygon network ran by Sony Bank. That would be interesting. But we do see Sony Bank working out, and you understand things are a little bit slow in Japan. It's just the work culture. They like to take a little extra time to go through every single small little detail. But do keep in mind, the moment they execute, the moment they figure out every single contingency plan and just hash out everything, guys, man, the Japanese businesses, they run things so smooth. You don't see any hiccups. So I guess you can say that they're, slow is smooth and smooth is fast in a way, right? But that's just how Japanese people operate. And they, once you actually have like the main net down and they actually provide these stable coins down. For all you know, like next thing you know, you're going to be able to use these stable coins provided by Sony Bank on your PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. Like imagine that. I'm sure it's probably going to take like a few more years for that, but imagine that, buying your games with your stable coin directly on your PlayStation 5. It's not a dream, right? We do see this with a few other banks. Like we have another bank called in Japan called Hokoku Bank. They've just released their own stable coin. They're actually applicable. It's not testnet. They're actually just a few weeks ago, they first launched their own deposit back stable coins. Really interesting. So like imagine this, right? Like imagine like gaming companies. You know, in Japan, we have so many like game companies, right? Like these gaming companies, they can actually partner with Hokoku Bank, and they can actually provide, like, say, their users, the gaming users, with lots of very interesting in-game transactions, assuming that, of course, their stable coin is managed and owned by Hokoku Bank, right? And of course, that is just a hypothetical situation and theoretically, but they would seamlessly be able to, people would seamlessly be able to, top up their, I don't know, what was it, Nintendo Switch or PlayStation 5. I guess in this case, we're probably like PlayStation 6 or Nintendo Switch 3 or something, right? With your console specific stable coin, right? Like it's not too far. We're not too far away from that. We're just a few years. Like I know for so many guys, you're probably thinking that's like forever, but that's actually really short in terms of how fast things can really start snowballing. And this really enables every single just retail like gamers to be able to like make purchases through their own ecosystem with stable coins. How cool is that, right? And of course, right now, this the stable coin that the Hokoku Bank is applying, it is limited to very specific app. And of course, when you use that specific app, it's only limited to very specific local stores in a city called Suzu City, and that's all the way northwest of Tokyo, right? So it's a really small place, really small city, but you can kind of see it this way: they're just testing it, guys. And once they hash out all the little hiccups and hash out all the little like concerns, you understand that's just how Japanese business works. They go full force. They see loads and loads of money just jumping everywhere. It's really so. Once we'll just give it a little bit more time, right? All right, so you understand that, like, let's just say, like, you run a business in Japan, you actually you just have to pay like I think it's like 0.5%, for merchant fees to actually take advantage of stable coins. So imagine this: you guys want to come to Japan for a small little vacation. Come eat out the good Japanese food, get some get some good sushi in your stomach, and then you have a whole bunch of stable coin, but you don't want to like change it to fiat and come here and then change it back to JPY. It's such a pain in the ass, right? So guess what? You'll be able to swap your stable coin to this new Japanese stable coin, and then once you take this, you just basically go around Japan on your vacation, pay everything through your stable coin. You don't have to deal with fiat off ramp anymore. How cool is that? And then when you're done your vacation, you'll just like, okay, look, I have some JPY stablecoin left. Should I head out tonight and go to my local bar and just try to use it all up and buy tequila for everyone? Or I actually have the option to just basically swap it back to, I don't know, USDT, USDC easily. How cool is that, right? So like we do see this. This is coming. It's just Japanese business. They like to just hash things out, and yeah, we'll have to give them some time. Like this is pretty new. Interest. This is actually really new news. This is just a few weeks ago, so we do have to give them a little bit more time. But you guys do understand that Japan, we're big in the gaming industry, big in the tourism industry. Once you actually have everyone starting being exposed to Japanese yen stable coin, I mean that's gonna I'll see a whole bunch of East Asian countries, most likely as well as Southeast Asian countries start adopting this, because this is healthy for a country's economy. It's so much easier to spend money in a country. Like who wouldn't do it, right? All right, let's move on. Let's talk about a little bit the UK right now. I think things things are really looking good in England because they too, England is interesting a new legislation for stable coins. Of course, it's not just stable coins itself; it's also encompass staking, centralized exchanges, and of course, any specific business entity that's going to hold cryptocurrency. I believe this is going to be starting around June or July, but they're just a few months away to really establish themselves. And of course, I think as of right now, every single like developed country is trying their best to become like one of the global crypto hubs. I mean, you see Hong Kong pushing that really hard. What was it, just a few days ago with spot Bitcoin as well as spot Ethereum ETFs. I'm bullish, but I don't. There's just so much money. There's only so much money available for in Hong Kong to actually move into the Hong Kong spot Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. Like I'm sure that's going to give us a nice little upward bullish push for like a few days. But I don't know. I don't know, guys. There's always so much steam that's going to be able to come out in Hong Kong. I think people are still going to be a little bit concerned that it's Hong Kong, right? So, but once we see, the spot Ethereum ETF really get deployed, maybe hopefully sometime at the end of this year, I think that's going to be a huge push, especially if if that passed in the United States. I think I'm much more bigger bullish on that one. But Hong Kong, that's good. That's good, but there's only so much money there to work with. Anyway, so back to UK, right? So we do see a lot of. I'm not going to mention names. It's going to be boring. I was going to talk about the economic secretary in UK, but you guys are going to hate that. Anyways, I do see. More and more bigger other countries, their developed countries are probably going to push for more stablecoin adoption. I'm not too concerned about Europe. They're actually pretty ahead of a lot of countries out there. But once you guys see all the developed countries do so, it's just about time we start seeing like the developing countries really catch up. All right, that's enough about UK. I think that sooner or later they're going to win. I'm just hoping they get that down before like their Labour Party wins. Anyways, let's move on. Let's talk about cross-border payments and how this stablecoins is really going to revolutionize this whole banking system, as well as not just that, it's going to like revolutionize how people send money. Give you guys a quick little story. Actually, just give you guys a quick understanding of how much this whole industry is going to change. I remember like one of my good friends got in a car accident like a few years ago, and he was one of my good friends. So he asked me, William, look, I just moved, and I just haven't started my new job yet, and and he's like a dad, right? And he's like the only breadwinner in his family. He's like, well, can you borrow me some money, right? And I was like, how much you need? And he told me the amount. I'm like, okay, look, let me just give you three x amount of that just in case, because he's in the hospital, right? And he hasn't started a new job yet. So I sent them, and I went to my local Japanese bank to try to make a wire transfer. And oh my God, I hate just traditional banks in general. It's such a pain in the ass to make a wire transfer. So guess what? It costs me about $40 to make a wire transfer. Okay, whatever. It's an emergency for my friend. I'll do it. I don't mind. That's nothing. I just want to get it done. And then I asked the lady, like, when is it gonna get there? And she's like, oh, she's not sure. It might take 3 days, 5 days. It really depends on the receiving bank and how fast they process. I'm like, you're not sure? My friend's my friend's in the hospital, and he needs the money because he won't be able to start his new job soon, and his family needs to eat. His kids needs to eat. What the heck? And I was trying to figure this out. Like, is there any way for them to figure out like exactly when they'll get the money so I can tell my friend exactly when he can go pick it up, or it's his wife, right, can go pick it up or whatnot, right? And they just had no idea. They're like, it could take 3 days. It could, sometimes might take like 5 business days. But, if you do it like Thursday or Friday, it might take a little longer. I'm just like, this is ridiculous, right? And then I'm like, okay, look, I guess I don't really have a choice. This was many years ago. So I was like thinking, okay, I don't really have a choice. Let's just do it. And then I asked them like, well, is there any way for me to like confirm, can I come back to the bank like 3 days later and check whether the money got through? And she's like, oh, we could actually, you'll have to do it yourself. You have to call like the receiving bank. We can't do it for you and stuff like. I'm just like, at this point, I am just so fed up of traditional bank wire transfer. This is just ridiculous. I just want to send money to my friend and to make sure he gets it because he needs it. He's in the hospital, right? He's a good friend. And sending money is just so stressful in traditional banks. So I'm just like, okay, I just told the lady, like, thank you for, all your explanation. I appreciate it. But I'm just like, look, I need to find some other way to send money. So at that time, I ended up using, what was it, like Western Union? So of course that was decent. But I did ask my friend, hey, do you have like a cryptocurrency wallet? Like, I can send you stablecoins. My friend's like, oh, like what's that? He had no idea what cryptocurrencies are. He heard of it. He heard Bitcoin, but he doesn't know what stablecoins are. It doesn't have his own wallet, and I'm not gonna ask him to open up his own, download MetaMask and create a wallet and write your seed phrase down. It's like he's in the hospital. There's no way I can. It's an emergency. There's no time to do that. So I'm like thinking, okay, there's no way I can send stable coins. So I ended up using like Western Union, right? So that was nice, right? Because like I was able to send the funds and he literally just pick up the funds at, some Western Union acceptable place in downtown in Canada. But I'm just thinking like, okay, how are stable coins going to I know how stable coins are definitely going to put banks in a very difficult position because there goes wire transfers out the window. But how about like companies like Western Union? Well, guess what? Like companies like them, they're just going to do the same more sooner or later. They'll probably have to do the same thing like PayPal, make their own stable coin and deploy their own stable coin. Because it's just a lot more easier to manage when you actually have funds specifically that is not that when you have a ledger that cannot be deleted or cannot be altered. You can only add information, aka a blockchain. So stablecoins is going to transform the cross-border payments, like hands down. And it doesn't even have to be banks. It can literally be like PayPal, which they're already doing their own stablecoin. And of course, like, companies like Western Union, but a lot of people use this, right? But that being said, this potential, this is big, guys. Like, if I were to get back into like the analogy in the banks, they're gonna have to every single bank will have no choice but to really join in the Web3 ecosystem, because if they don't, like, they're going to go out of business and they're going to be pushed out by other banks that are adopting the blockchain technology. Like right now, we do see like the stablecoin market there. We are experiencing a lot of rapid growth. I believe right now our total supply is almost like 150 billion. Just between like what USDT and USDC and a few other ones. Of course, it is a little bit centralized, and a lot of the liquidity is dominated by both of these USDT and USDC ones. I would love to see some more challengers to pop up and deploying their own stable coins. Like, two is not a lot to choose from. It's like asking your friends if you guys want to eat noodles or rice every time you go out. That's not a lot of options, but I would like to be able to see more stable coins. So this way it allows us retail traders or investors to really be able to hedge more risk, because if you have like, say, I don't know, like tens of thousands, hundreds of millions of dollars of just funds, and you want to sell it off like when the bear market really gets really hot before the whole digital economy gets overheated, you want to hold your stables, right? You want to sell as close to the top as possible. Why would you sell it all in one specific US dollar pegged stable coin? It just doesn't make sense. You want to be able to like at least diversify your risk. Of may hold a little bit USDT, hold a little bit USDC, right? Hold a little bit USDT and USDC and various different chains. Like you want to mitigate your risk, right? But it'd be nice to see a few more stable coins with a much more bigger market cap to come out of play. And I've no doubt that once we have all these, of course, legislations coming out with their regulatory frameworks for stablecoins, we're going to see a lot of new ones. Now, we do see that, what was that, the interbank stablecoin that's developed by and deployed by JP Morgan, but of course, that's not available to people like us, right? We do see that a few blockchain networks, like a big one would probably be Solana right now. They're actually leading, they're really leading the way right now to facilitating cross-border payments. I think that's a great thing, considering fact how expensive Ethereum gas fees are on right now. Let's talk a little bit about gas fees because this is big. Now, of course, it's not as bad as like $40 like wire transfers, but like, okay, if we look at Bitcoin, that's costs about like what? If you're not lucky on a happy day, lucky day, you might be paying $9. But most likely you're probably going to be paying about around 12 to 15 US dollars just for one Bitcoin transaction. And of course, I think the worst part of that is you waiting a good solid like 10, 15 minutes or waiting like for a few blocks to ensure that your transaction is verified. And that can literally take like 20, 30 minutes to really ensure that your funds are actually safe in your wallet. That's just the most stressful part, especially when you send a lot of money, right? But let's look at some other ones, right? Ethereum could actually cost like, I think you guys are pretty lucky today. Right now, the Gwei prices are so cheap. Let me just take a quick look at the Gwei price. Yeah, it's around like 411 to 15 today. It's not too bad, right? So that probably costs you about like $4 or $5. Polkadot, like well, I think the gas fees are around like what 10 cents, something similar to Polygon as well. Solana, that's like was it pennies? So like I really do think that like the more people use like stablecoins, especially on like these newer blockchains, I really do see that cross-border payments are just going to just be revolutionized. Now, whether these new banks actually use public blockchains, that's a whole different story. They actually have a lot less control over their funds on public blockchains. So just to see like what kind of regulatory framework, even because they might not even be allowed to deploy like funds on public blockchains. Well, it's going to be case by case, country by country, right? Every country is going to have like different frameworks for the stablecoin adoption. Like we do see like Visa and Mastercard, they are absolutely adopting stable coins because if they don't, they are going out of business. Like no joke. And that's exactly why we see them already adopting it many years ago, right? Of course, they do have a good chunk of fees, like I think almost like 3.4%. That's actually pretty expensive if you ask me. But you know, compared to $40, well, I don't know. It really depends on how much you're sending at this point, right? But that being said, cross-border payments, it's going to be sucked up by stable coins, and it's all a matter of time. All depends on when the regulatory framework gets as clear as possible for the country you reside in. All right, the next one that I do want to talk about, and I think this might be a pretty big relevant issue, is big relevant for me. I'm based in Japan and I'm suffering from inflation, right? So I don't know what other countries you guys are from, but goddamn, inflation is really biting a lot of people's asses lately. You've seen it in Nigeria there. I feel so bad for anyone residing in Nigeria because their inflation is just insane. I think it just hit like the all-time high in the cryptocurrency exchange ratio just like a few days ago. It was just so bad. Probably another reason why like US dollars is it's just so scarce, right? It's just not enough US dollars to be going around in Nigeria. I feel a little, you know, Ghana is pretty bad too, like Turkey, Argentina. There's just inflation is so bad. So I guess I really can't complain, even though like, you know, the Japanese yen is really inflating away. Compare to those countries, like, gosh, it's the value of your fiat currency is just it's like less than toilet paper, right? So that said, guys, like stable coins, it's really going to be revolutionizing a lot of people's lives, especially if you can actually get a job that pays you in US dollar pegged stablecoin. Nobody wants Nigerian like fiat currency. No one wants like the fiat currency from Turkey or Argentina. Like look at me, I'm in Japan, right? The Japanese yen is pretty. It's not bad excuse me. It's not bad fiat currency, but even that's inflating, and I'm just I might have to like figure out like how to like earn more stable coins instead of Japanese yen myself. But this is a big issue, guys. Like even like you see like residents in all these countries, they're turning to stable coins because as much as like you might not be buying like I don't know like Bitcoin or Ethereum, or you might be more into alt, it's totally fine. You still need a way to actually store your value of funds, right? And what's the easiest way of doing it? Well, US dollar stable coin, because as much as US dollars is still inflating away, it's not inflating away as fast as some of these other fiat currencies that we are dealing with. All right. So, yeah, with the U.S. backed stablecoins, that really provides us more of a reliable alternative to, of course, these unstable local currencies, right? Like, I live in a country with a lot of earthquakes, right? So I feel like with small one, like every like week or two, sometimes like every few days. So like when you never know if the really big earthquake hits in Japan. I really hope not, but even like natural disasters, right? Or even like if there's like a fire somewhere, I would not have to worry about like, oh, my money stuck at the local bank. What if I had to like, fly back to Canada, my home country, like, because it's emergency evacuation. I don't know, if Godzilla shows up or something crazy, or World War III happens, right? Like, I don't want to be worried that like my funds are stuck in the Japanese bank. It's on the blockchain in stable coin form. So, I believe that stable coins, they are a great way to hedge against inflation, especially if you're in a country that actually has inflating fiat currency, but it also helps you really stay mobile in case that you actually do have emergency. And I'll tell you guys, man, we are living in one interesting century where we have wars going on. We have Iran sending freaking missiles and rockets to hit Israel. What's going on with that? Like, can't we just go back in the peaceful area? Like, let's stop with the killing. We have the Russia-Ukraine situation going on. Like, let's just call it for what it is. It's a war. Gosh, and we have like tensions rising between like Taiwan and China too. Like I really hope it doesn't happen, but I would not be surprised if we do see some kind of conflict between China and Taiwan sometime in the next few years. So this is the reason why I do not want to hold much fiat currencies. Of course, I don't want to hold it because of rapid inflation, but of course, in case you need to get up and get the heck out, move countries, migrate, I don't know, go somewhere and not worry about your funds are stuck in some kind of local bank and you can't get your money out of it because everything is, up in flames and chaotic and whatnot, right? So definitely you guys want to see stable coins as a way to, of course, not only hedge against inflation, but it's your means to protect your store of value, but it's also your way to access your store of value anywhere and anytime. I would love to do another AMA about that. Probably have to like talk about like hardware wallets in that case. But anyways, that being said, guys, stable coins, that's how important it is. And if we ever, I really hope it doesn't happen. If we do have World War III happening, especially if start China and United States and Taiwan, something sparks there. I really hope it doesn't, but if it does, I'd rather be prepared. I'd rather not have like my money stuck in some local bank that's going to be bombed away, and they're going to say, "I'm sorry, but you lost your records, or your funds are not, and you can't pull up your funds, or maybe like their fiat currency is, worth nothing at that point, right?" So, something to keep in mind, guys. All right, so my last spiel about stablecoins in this respect is really how stablecoin, it's really going to shape the whole Web3 industry right now. Like I talked a little bit about price volatility. I've talked about like how it's going to help with pushing higher market capitalization. Of course, that's the most important part of that, is providing more stability and less volatility. So once we hit like I don't know, 8 trillion market cap, like as much as gold, like you're not going to see Bitcoin move as high or as low it has been or it is lately. We're going to see a lot less volatility, a lot more stability. We're going to see a lot more like even altcoins maintain their value. Of course, don't get me wrong, that is still based on their fundamental value in that sense. We're going to see a lot more fiat currencies. I'd love to see like the more British fiat currencies like pegged to the British pound, Mexican peso. I think that just be makes a lot. It really gives everyone a more opportunity to use it, not just in their local society, but also gives people like a lot more options, especially in traveling and and going on vacations and seeing the world. I think that's just really inclusive, right? Um, and then, of course, that helps onboard a lot of people who don't have access to banking, right? Like a lot of people in South America, excuse me, in Africa, who don't have access to banking, right? When they actually have like access to, stable coin that's available within their country, not most likely, I guess in this case, probably still US dollar for the inflation reasons. But still, that goes a long way, right? I do think that stable coins are going to really provide us with a lot more liquidity and of course in DeFi ecosystems. I think that's going to be a big part too, because as of right now, as much as I think DeFi is going to keep growing, regardless if it's public or privatized DeFi, like we see like in Aave Arc, I think that's going to be a very interesting thing where specific DeFi platforms only available for specific people who actually did their KYC, people who actually registered as a trusted bank or maybe like a business entity. And so you have to actually run like a proper business to be able to access these very interesting private or excuse me, permissioned DeFi platforms. I think that's going to be a thing too. Like we don't see that much right now, but because the demand's not there yet. But once we do, guys, man, obviously one of the biggest assets you'll have to be working with on those permissioned DeFi ecosystems will be stable coins, right? Now, whether that's like USDC, DAI, Tether, whatnot, like it's going to really depending on the, of course, regulatory framework and but country by country. So, but the more very specific DeFi permissioned platform will encompass more specific stable coins, the more they'll be able to cater to very specific clientele, regardless where they are, right? So, because I have no doubt that every bank's going to have like very specific like limitations of which specific stablecoin they use, right? So that's that. I really hope that you guys have a much more better understanding of how important stablecoin adoption is and how important that all these new governments all around the world are working so hard to actually adopt stablecoins. And once we have that clear regulatory rules in place, we're going to see a lot of companies start jumping on this because think of yourself as running as a business, right? Like let's just say you're running a bar, right? So you're running a bar in your in your local neighborhood. Well, guess what? If you are a bar who not only accepts your local currency, but also say, I don't know, USDT, USDC, or Bitcoin for that matter, you'll have like people like on vacation visiting your country, and guess what, they'll love to pay you in USDC because say they're having a great time, they ran out of their local currency because they only swapped so much. Well, guess what, they can pay in their USDC, USDT, or whatever other assets do you allow, right? I think that really opens up a lot of doorways, a lot of opportunities for a lot of business individuals, as well as just us retail users, just regular users who just may not be using DeFi. We can actually use our stable coins to be paying stuff, right? Wouldn't it be that awesome? We have to worry about like fiat off ramp. But of course, probably the more important reasons using these stable coins and stablecoin adoption, of course, inflation, right? And it gives you an option to, keep your funds safer, right? All right, then. Hopefully, you guys learned a lot, and hopefully, like, it gives you a much more better understanding how important stable coins are. Definitely keep your eye peeled. We'll see where this goes. If anyone have any questions, feel free to put up to ask for the mic. I'll definitely pass right now, and I'll be sure to respond. All right, so I did pass the mic to Ponty. If you're there, feel free to ask your question. If anyone else is not AFK, yep, okay. All right, I just passed the mic to Frankie. I believe Ponty might be AFK right now. So, Frankie, you have the mic. Yeah, so Frankie, you have the mic. You can ask your question.
Can I hear me, sir?
Loud and clear.
Okay, thanks for the opportunity. My question is, partnership and collaboration is very important for any crypto project. Who are your partner and what can your user benefit from their partnership? That's my question, sir.
All right, I think that's a really good question. But Frankie, do keep in mind that I'm not a blockchain protocol. I'm not a very specific project. I work for the subsidiary company of XT Exchange. That being said, I do think a lot of partnerships are really important. We have a team in Dubai right now for Token 2049. I have no doubt that they're going to be making a whole bunch of new partnerships as well as revealing new partnerships. I'm not sure how that's going on right now because I do believe that there's this huge flood in Dubai. Some of my coworkers have sent some very interesting pictures to me and how the whole token for 2049 is flooded with water. I know I just really do wonder if they're going to if token 2049 the company behind it is going to reimburse people who actually paid for boosts that because those kind of boosts they cost thousands of dollars. But that being said, that's usually where you see new partnerships are created and actually new partnerships are revealed. But as of right now, I'm not. I think that might just be delayed for a little while, because people have issues getting to just from point A to point B. Some people have issues just getting to the event venue because yeah, just go onto Twitter or go onto YouTube. You'll actually see it's insane. There's flooding everywhere. So as much as I do want to disclose new partnerships, unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon because that's all that is currently on hold due to the flooding issue going on in Token 2049. Now, we probably would have disclose a whole bunch of new ones, especially the ones that we've already agreed to disclose with a specific projects. But because of the whole team's having issues on that end, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. But let's all the best. Let's hope that they actually survive this. They have their rain boots with them because they'll definitely need it. All right, that's a very good question. Let's move on to the next person. All right, so I did see your hand, Giotto, so you have the mic. Let's just give Twitter Space a few seconds to connect you, and you should be able to ask your question.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yeah, I want to ask a question. Can the current financial system has impact on this stable coin? And how does you differ from your competitors? And also, what are the toughest challenges are you facing right now and the solution to it?
That was a really good question. That was a very good question. I'm going to answer the very first part of the question for now. I think I think we're just waiting for, because you have to understand, every government body, regardless of the country, you actually have, liberals, conservatives, you have partisan parties, and they all have their own a view, right? Some people agree with stablecoins, some people disagree. I think that as of this point is the biggest challenge right now is to ensure that everyone can actually agree to some form or some very specific points. That they don't have to agree on everything. But as of right now, we don't really have control, or rather, like they actually have these regulatory frameworks in place or not. However, they are being worked on. The bigger question is when, right? When are they going to get it done? When is it going to be available? Is it going to be this year? Is it going to be sometime early next year? Are they going to get done after like the whole bull market is over? Like that would kind of suck, because we would love to see a lot more liquidity rushing into this during this bull market, right? For the second question, I want to specifically talk the thing is, I don't believe XLCom has their own stablecoin, so I don't think I'll be able to answer your second question. But as for your third question, yeah, there are lots of challenges, right? Because the thing with like stablecoins is that especially like if you have like fiat-backed stablecoins, you're dealing with very specific company behind that, right? And then if you're like, say like, then not every single company is based in, say, like United States. This is where Circle is based, and they're the one who's deployed USDC, right? So like there are inherent risks in adopting very specific cryptocurrencies that I mentioned earlier in today's AMA. So like say like one of the advantages would be like for adopting fiat-backed cryptocurrencies would be you'd actually the people behind the stablecoin itself can actually blacklist your address and freeze your funds. So that's kind of scary part, right? And of course, there's there's inherent vulnerabilities for like the other types of stablecoins. But if you understand that specific this reason behind fiat collateralized stablecoins, I think that just gives you a better understanding of like the challenges. Of course, another challenges would be the local laws governing stablecoins. Like in Japan, we have stable coin policies in place right now, but like the only people who are allowed to actually deploy Japanese yen peg stablecoin legally are unfortunately Japanese banks, right? So you're not going to be seeing any like crypto collateralized JPY peg stablecoin or algorithmic JPY peg stablecoin. If you do, whomever is behind it, they're going to get locked away, caught by the police and locked away for all I know. So like. But as for fiat collateralized stablecoins, you'll see that. But like the thing of the challenge is these banks, they have to figure out like, how far they'll take it, right? And if one misstep, if they don't actually have like all of their kinks figured out, they can easily be introducing a lot of vulnerabilities, because they're dealing with a digital asset that they are not too sure how safe it can be, because they've not sure how far they can actually apply it, as well as why the surface attack would be for the smart contract involved with the stablecoin. Now, of course, they can always build their own blockchain, right? That's for their own bank, and then deploy it their own stablecoin. But that also introduces a whole new level of complexity, right? So that's another challenge that we'll probably be facing. But of course, that comes down to government by country by country, depending on the government and what specific laws they actually apply. So, and then of course, if you're working like in a global company like XT, you have to like be compliant to every single country, right? Or at least the countries we operate in, and that's just a headache, because every country has their own different regulatory framework. So like, for every single country, you actually have to customize the specific parameters when you're involving stable coins, right? Especially when you're doing like fiat on ramp and off ramp. It's just a headache, but that is the current situation. Well, I do hope that we're going to have a lot more things streamlined, especially when the United States actually passes their stablecoin bill, because once the United States do it, everyone tends to like copy the United States bill and just tweak it into their own liking. And that's just how the whole world has operated for a long time ago and up till now. And the reason being is a lot of people a lot of countries actually have a lot of their funds intertwined with the United States, and they rely on the United States for different ways, whether it's military or economy wise. right? So, but once we wait until the United States regulatory framework gets more clear for us for stable coins, we'll see the whole world probably follow soon months later. All right, I hopefully that answered your question. Unfortunately, we are going over time. We are out of time. But thank you very much for tuning in today, guys. I hope you guys learned a lot. We will be having another AMA tomorrow, and that would be about the Bitcoin halving. We actually have a very interesting guest speaker joining up. Of course, I'll be doing my usual Friday weekly report for Bitcoin technical analysis, as well as this week's fundamental analysis of a lot of interesting projects. And that will be on this Friday as the usual time. And of course, we'll be having one more AMA later in the evening this Friday. And it's going to be about a very new token standard on Ethereum. It's about the ERC 404 token standard. And we'll also have a very interesting guest speaker for that one, too. So there's lots of AMA this week. But most importantly, a huge thank you to everyone here who joined today. Hopefully, see you guys next time. But until then, definitely stay curious and keep learning. Have a good one.